Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Nikki Starr, and welcome to another week live here on my YouTube channel. And as I promised, I said I was going to be bringing more people on my YouTube channel. So today I have a very special client Brian, who is here with me today. Welcome, Brian.
Well, thank you.
And Brian is currently here in Malibu with me on a personal retreat. So we decided, because Brian is really inspired in this next chapter of his life to help more people. And we thought, like, what better way than to share a little bit about his journey. So thank you for having the courage to show up on camera today, Brian. So Brian is the ripe young age of 66. And he first worked with me back in 2014. That's actually when he first met me. He met me when I was on Utopia. So if any of you remember that show, and currently we're going to get to that, but I want to talk about the now. So currently on this retreat, what did you discover being on this retreat when you first kind of arrived to the house and everything?
Well, one of the first things I discovered as I'm looking out over the ocean is that I had seen this place. I didn't realize I had seen it, but in our vision quest on my last retreat, I was looking for my future and what it would be like and where I would live. And I was seeing this house. I didn't know that's what I was seeing, but this is it. Yeah. It's amazing.
Beautiful. So some of the work that I do on retreats are visioning journeys and almost like quests, like spiritual quests for you to discover more about yourself, what it is you're wanting to create and do in your life to live your ultimate life. And it was so amazing that when he told me that, because I remember this is actually a retreat we did in 2018. So Brian has worked with me in 2014 when he met me in Utopia, and then he did my it's now called Awaken Your Spiritual Power course. Then he was part of a group retreat in Ojai that ended up being all males, and it was such a fun experience to guide. And then in 2018, he had a personal retreat in Topanga, and then here we are today in 2021 in Malibu. And so the visioning experience that I guided him through back in 2018 has now manifested. And one of the things that you were envisioning in that time too was financial independence, financial freedom, and really being able to do whatever you want, whenever you want. And that has also manifested, right?
Yeah. And the power to direct my life. I've never felt power before. And I realize as I'm here that I have the power to create whatever I want. At this point in my life, I have the money I need to do what I want to do, and the freedom to do it. I'm retired. I'm free. I can do it.
Yeah. And I think that's part of what's so inspiring about this story, which is why I wanted to come on and share it with you, is because most people think like, and Brian was once an occupational therapist. So he worked in the hospital and he had like a regular job like everyone else. Mm-hmm. And most people would think like, oh, now I'm retired. So that's it. Life is finished. But instead, like, Brian has like all these visions from like beloved romantic soulmate relationship to creating a way in which to help other people reach their dreams and really being able to adventure and travel. So this message is for anyone who thinks it's too late. It is never too late. Never, never, never. That's the message today. Like Brian is a beautiful example of like, let's live our ultimate life. Like, yes, I'm not finished yet.
No. Hardly started.
And one of the other things that's really amazing that's happening right now on this retreat is Brian is taking, and he has in the past, like he has lost weight. He's taken a lot of the nutritional advice that I've given him over the years, and he was on insulin. And yesterday we went to this dance experience at the ocean. And in the morning we had done we were on the beach and we swam and we did different rituals, and his blood sugar was low, meaning like he didn't need his diabetes medicine actually. And so if you want to share a little bit about your journey with like your health and how that's been transforming and kind of what you see for yourself now.
Well, I experienced some of that at that first retreat in Ojai, that because I was struggling with meds and that sort of thing to get my blood sugars normalized. And on that retreat, it had normalized. It was perfect. And we were eating very healthy. We're doing activities. And then going back to daily life, back into the grind, I lost that ground again. And what I saw yesterday was that it's not too late for me to be able to start backing off of medications, that I can get better, that my body, when I was active and eating healthy, and I even had dessert, and my blood sugar still dropped. So it's like, I can do this without the meds if I live intentionally and eat intuitively and move. Movement is so vital.
Yeah. And it was so incredible. He's like, I feel kind of tired. And then he checked his blood sugar, it was like 60. It's just like, oh my God, I gotta get you food, And so then today it was like, he really backed down on the dose. His sugars have been great. And this is just from a few days of eating like super clean, super healthy. And it tastes so good, right? How have you been liking
it? It was delightful. I mean, all of the different flavors and such that I've been eating a very kind of basic diet for the most part. And the complexity of the flavors of some of the foods we have and some of your cooking is delightful. I should say all of it. But I just didn't feel like I missed anything. I even ended up having a snack of some nectarines last night, which was good because my blood sugars ended up later dropping. So my body's beginning to be more intuitive, and I'm beginning to see, okay, my blood sugars are fine now, but I'm going to need to eat. And I never do that, but I'm glad I did last night.
Yeah. And I want to speak to that. Like, Western medicine oftentimes makes you believe that if you get on a medication that you need to be on it for your whole life, that's it. Like, once you've gotten diagnosed with like high blood pressure or diabetes, that like, that's it. Like, and this is, I'm also speaking to people who are still healthy. Like, your lifestyle is what determines that. Like, not only like what you're eating, but how you're thinking, your habits in terms of your meditation. What are you doing with your free time? So there are so many factors that go into health and maintaining health. And I truly believe the work that I do now in healing and personal development work and spirituality, this is the foundation for preventative medicine. Energy work is preventative medicine. One of the things he shared is he's never felt so like calm and at peace and centered. So it's really hard to have like high blood pressure and things like this also, and energetically you're feeling in a really good place, because the energy of anger, the energy of unrest or frustration, things like this actually get your blood pressure up. So when you learn practices and you do them every day and you're guided in experiences, this is really what can transform your life incredibly. And so Brian is actually seeing for his future where he can actually come off of medications and he doesn't have to stay on them. So essentially it's like curing your diabetes, curing hypertension. And for those who are well already, it's like never having to go on them in the first place, because it's a lot of different things, even like salts, like what kind of salts are you eating? Like all this kind of eating is a big part of things. And actually right now in the month of August is when my Ultimate Nutrition program is launched. So, I understand that not everyone can work one-to-one with me, but there are plenty of resources available to you that you can begin now. It's never too late. And what are you waiting for? Like, the time is now, right? Like, we're only as young as we're ever going to be right now.
That's true.
And so Brian, like, we met back in 2014 and because you saw me on the show. So like, right. What was it that drew you to reach out to me as like a teacher, a guide on your transformational journey?
Well, one of the first things is they had live feeds in addition to the weekly show. And so every morning as I'm getting ready for work, I would tune in to the live feed because you would be out on the pier meditating. And even though I wasn't meditating, I felt peaceful seeing you do that. So you were able to touch me with what you were doing. And it's like right now, I mean, with all the work we've done, I've never been on live before. I'm completely at peace. I should be very nervous. Not at all.
I love hearing that. Yeah. And it's true. Like, part of like, it's a ripple effect, right? So as we do our personal development work, we don't even have to, like, we don't have to change. Like, the point is not to change anyone else. It's like, as we change, we affect those around us, right? And so me just being on a show meditating had an impact for someone to like come and visit me and meet me, and then ends up being a client and someone who works with me for 7 years, a student and a client, right? Because he's been in courses too. So that speaks to the power of like, how are you spending your time? Like, who are you allowing to influence you? How is that changing your life, right? Like, all of these things are so essential in your transformation and in living your ultimate life. And what I mean by that is like living the life you desire, where you feel happy and fulfilled, not settling for anything less than what you truly desire, and knowing that you can create it. And so, Brian, for you right now, let's just say, I know you've been on a few different retreats. Let's say, like, what has been some of your favorite things about like retreats? Or, I mean, now Brian is also working one-to-one with me for the next year. So what has been some of your favorite aspects about like mentorship and coaching work with me, and what kind of sticks out to you?
Well, the challenge, you'll challenge us lovingly, but challenging. And I remember the first retreat, there's these three guys. We were so mismatched, struggling to do yoga with you. And each of us was a different stage of life. But none of us had done much yoga. So it was a challenge. But to experience new things, to try things, and a lot of the ritual, now, I was raised Catholic, so ritual was kind of something we liked, but it wasn't a ritual that was serving me. And some of the ritual work you've done really brought that to life. I could feel and experience what rituals really meant to be. And it's very powerful. And also the food. I just loved the food. I remember on the first retreat, it was all vegan. And one of the fellows on there was not at all sure this is what he liked. And he'd be going, what is this? And he'd pick at it. And I'm just diving and say, oh, this is amazing. Because it's been delightful food. And it was really good to learn that you're not depriving yourself by eating healthy. I mean, it's a wonderful experience. Mm-hmm. Too often we just eat unconsciously. We just throw it down so we can do the next thing in our life. But I find that, with all these flavors, I have to pay attention. Like, oh, what is this? That tastes great with that. And so I'm present to my meal. And that's the other thing, is teaching us to be present to our experience, mm-hmm. instead of worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow or regretting what we did yesterday. So we can't do anything about either one of those, but we can be present now. Mm-hmm. And like someone said, it's called presence because it's a gift. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Mm-hmm. And when you even were talking about rituals and mentioning how, like, even though you grew up religious and that didn't really speak to you, and now you've stepped into the spirituality space with me as a guide for you. And I'm curious, like you mentioned, like now it spoke to you in some way. Like, can you elaborate on that? Because some people might not understand like ritual or what it's like or what it feels like. So what does it connect you to? Like, what's your experience of it? How does it help you, for those who might not understand?
Well, one of the things that is at the beginning of each, whatever ritual it is, you're very clear on creating an intention. Now, when we would do our ceremonies in the church, it was just the ritual of what we've done for hundreds of years. But with this, I'm sure these practices are very ancient, but they're very relevant, because what is my intention for this ritual? And so I'd be thinking in terms of that. And so I would get messages. I would get thoughts. It's like, oh, that's why I felt this way, or insights. And I never got that before with anything else. I mean, I've done meditation. I've done trance work, a lot of trance work. And it works very similar to that for me. It's easier when you have somebody else guiding you. You don't have to create it all yourself. So I enjoy that too.
Yeah, it is nice. So I think that's part of the beauty, is like, whenever you're on a spiritual retreat or you're going on a spiritual journey of any kind, whether it's through one-to-one coaching or a program or even a course, or having intention is so powerful. And going through the different rituals allows you to connect more deeply with yourself, your true self, not with the noise of the outside, as well as bringing in divine energies and support from your higher self, maybe even, depending on what you believe in, from those energies as well, because there's so much energy that's around us that makes us up this reality that we don't even see. And so the idea is that you can really receive all of that now, like here and now, and the rituals create this sacred space, this sacred healing space for you to receive that. So I think that's also part of what differentiates my work from a lot of other healers, coaches, guides, is it's both practical and spiritual. So you're getting very tangible practices to do at home, but there is a strong spiritual element. And maybe if you want to speak a little bit on that, on like the energies and the spirituality.
And the gradual transformation. I've been doing work with Nikki for several years, and I'll remember and still practice things that she taught me before. Some of them I hadn't practiced. When we went into quarantine, I had time for myself. I was doing all of the things that she was teaching me 3 years before. Well, actually, even earlier than that I wasn't able to practice in the real world. There was too much conflict for me, too much other energy. But when it was just feeding the birds and watering the lawn, I was able to spend the time. I lost 35 pounds. My blood pressures and my blood sugars got better. I became calmer. I didn't have the stress. And then I was ready for this retreat. And I feel in this process, this time, more my authentic self than I've ever been. And I see a place to go to the future. That's what we do tomorrow. We're planning the next goals, because we completed really the goals of the last retreat. At that time, I wasn't financially stable at all. I had a good job, but lots of bills and all this kind of thing. I was living in a trailer that I call a box. And I had no imagining of living by the ocean. I was born and raised in the mountains, so that wasn't a normal vision for me. And of course, Nikki was doing her visioning and manifesting, and she was manifesting this. And I guess that's what I saw, because when I walked onto this place, I go, this was what I saw. And sometimes I'll see things, but I won't know what it means. And I'll think it meant something else. I thought it was supposed to be my house, but it didn't really feel like my house. And now I know why. It's not. But I was coming here. The vision was telling me, I'm going to go through this process, and my next stage will be here. And here, I'm free. I'm financially independent. I'm ready and able to help others. I've been volunteering, just enjoying that immensely. And I realize I can go wherever I want, do whatever I want, be who I was meant to be, and be with the ones I'm supposed to be with. I've never been in that space before.
Yeah.
I'm in charge.
So beautiful, Brian. I really love how you spoke to the fact that even though you learned things in the past, that you remembered them and then you implement them into your life, like when the time was right. And that you never stopped the journey. You kept going and doing it in your way. And then now you've arrived at that next point, and you knew when it was time to reach out to me and start working one-to-one again, and now here for the retreat. So it's been such a gift. And is there anything else you want to share with the viewers about anything? Like anything you feel called before we kind of wrap it up?
Well, I think kind of for the beginning theme is it's never too late. It's don't give up on yourself. Keep trying. And it's not that it's easy. Of course, if it was easy, you'd have done it already. But it's doable, and it's worth doing. And I just couldn't imagine my life where it is now. Could never imagine this. I did not know I was ever going to live this life. I thought I was going to live to a drudgery until I died. That was what I saw. So don't give up. Keep trying. and find a teacher. If it's not Nikki, although this is a great choice, I don't think you can do much better, but find a teacher to help you grow.
Mhm.
Several teachers.
Mhm.
Grow and do the work.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. You know, I don't know if you knew that I have this YouTube channel or not, but a lot of the videos I talk about personal development and I talk about doing the work and the transformational process. And you're basically speaking to that. And I also talk about how it's so beautiful and important to have a guide, have a healer, have support, because sometimes when we're in this space that things are like, ugh, you know, it's hard to see a way out. And when you're working with someone who's holding space for you, it's like so much easier, so much more nurturing, so much more supportive. Like you really feel like, okay, I can make it. I can get out of this. Like I see the light at the end of the tunnel. And so, yeah, I would say those are beautiful parting words. It's never too late. Find support, keep going, don't give up, do your personal development work. You got this. Right? If Brian is continuing at 66 years old, like
and counting,
and is honestly the most alive he's ever been,
and I feel the healthiest.
Right? Like there's no excuses. No excuses. The time is now. We came on here today as a form of inspiration and support. We're having so much beauty happen in this retreat, and we just thought, let's just share some of this good energy with other people, because we're having a beautiful time, and like let's let other people know that they can do it too. And so with that, I thank you for being here, Brian.
Thank you.
I thank all of you for being here, for tuning in. Share any comments, questions you have in this section. In the comment section, you can subscribe to the channel. You can reach out to me. Of course, my website is drnikkistarr.com. There's so many ways to work with me from all different price points. So you can get started at any moment in time. I send you so much love. I wish you a beautiful day. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you again soon. Namaste.
That was fun.